In this video, I'm going to go through my favorite plugins of 2024, but before we get started, my name is Ed, you're watching Stokes Sounds, and if you like this video, please make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment, and if you want to support the channel, head over to our website, stokessounds.com. Now let's take a look. It's coming up to the end of the year, and I thought it'd be a really good idea to do a video of kind of the most used plugins that I've been kind of using across the whole of 2024. Now, if we just take a look, I've got a song loaded up here. It's by an artist called Luke Stefano, and the song is I Wait For You. It's a fantastic song, really well written, and I mixed this, and it's actually probably one of my favorite mixes that I've done this year. It's kind of very acoustic style, but I'll stop talking and let's just actually take a listen to the track, and then I'm going to show you a few of the plugins that I used that I thought were really cool.
I've been waiting minutes to be able to say that I'm over you. With every single second and every heart you take, I've lost all my love to give, but I still seem to wait for you. I'll wait for you, I'll wait for you. No, I'll wait, no, I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you, I'll wait for you. No, I'll wait for you.
So you get the idea there of the style of song that we're working with, but let's just actually take a look at kind of the plugins that I used on this session. And these plugins are, plugins I've been using on multiple mixes throughout the year. And the first one is Split EQ. Now, I've mentioned this before in other videos. Now, I know a lot of engineers like to use the Pro Q3, and I still use that, or now as we call it, the Pro Q4 that's just come out. But with the Split EQ, one thing that I really like to use it on is percussion elements. So for example, you've got the transient and you've got the tonal aspects of the kind of the frequency spectrum. So it means that you can increase the transient on a certain frequency, and you can, add tonal on a frequency as well. And what's really cool about this plugin, which is why I've been using it a lot, is because it allows me to separate that. So, back in previous years, I would use a transient designer to kind of get the attack, and then I would have to maybe, do some sort of parallel if I wanted it at a certain frequency and blend it into the sound, or I'd have to use, a completely different EQ to, reduce harshness. But as you can see with Split EQ, you can do everything in one. You can increase the attack, as you can see up here, and then the blue is where I've, reduced the frequencies that I just felt that were causing a problem. So this is actually on a conga. So if I just solo the conga in chorus 2, which is what we were just listening to with everything in, and we can actually hear what this plugin is, is doing. So, it's a conga, it's adding that percussion element. And what I wanted to do with this plugin is I wanted to kind of bring out, the smoothiness of the conga. It's probably not the right terminology to use, but like when you can hear the finger and the hands tapping on the skin of that drum. And I wanted to have more of that. And so you can see here, around kind of the, the lower mid-range 200 hertz and all the way up to between 500 and 1K, I'm boosting the transient of that, because to me, that's kind of like the main part of the frequency spectrum of that instrument, or percussion in that track. So if we actually have a listen, kind of what I'm boosting, in solo. We're just hearing the transient element there, and then you can see that I've ducked kind of around 302 hertz, that kind of boxiness in the drum, if we just solo that. You can hear those resonant frequencies there that were just causing it to be, muddy. And so with this one plugin, which is why I've been using it a lot, I can do all of that within this one plugin. And one, it saves CPU. Two, I just really like the fact that you've got a separate fader, so you can increase the transient on here, you can push the transient up, and you can, do the same for the tone, or you can lower it. So you've got full control of the tonal and the transient aspects of each, instrument. And to me, that's just genius, because sometimes you want to have a transient higher end, or you want to duck lower end of the frequencies, and before you'd have to use multiple plugins, and with this one you can do it all in the same one. So I absolutely love this plugin, and I've been using this a ton on mixes throughout 2024. So let's take a look at this second plugin that I've been using, which is the Spectre. Now, I've mentioned this before in previous videos. Now, the Spectre is a bit like an EQ, but you're boosting saturation, and again, to me, that's just magic, because sometimes you don't necessarily want to boost the sound of a frequency, But with this plugin, you kind of boost the sound, but you boost it with saturation, so you get like a bit of a different taste and a bit of a different flavor. And so they are, this is why I like to use this plugin a lot, just because of those reasons. And it just gives me more options. It's a different taste. And so if we actually listen, with the kick drum in particular on this song that I've done it on, I've boosted it around 3.62, which is actually more of the attack of the kick, more of the beta, which is actually quite unusual for me. Normally I wouldn't boost around there. Normally I'm taking that away because I just don't really like a clicky drum sound, but that's just my personal opinion. But in this case, I decided to do it. So if we actually take a listen to what this frequency is doing. You can see there, when I was doing that, it was changing, again, the tone of the kick. So, I would be doing all of these moves, when the music is playing. And the reason why I would have done that move to begin with, to be honest, just by looking at it, is because, the mix itself is quite acoustic, it's quite dense. And so I wanted that kick drum to really kind of punch through and to be, really hear it and hear the fur on that kick drum, I call it. And so this plugin was perfect for doing that, because if I was to use a Pro Q4 or I was to use, something else, what's going to happen is I'm going to kind of bring up all the other frequencies around it. And I don't necessarily like all of those frequencies. And with the Spectre, I was able to add, in this setting, I used a tube. So I was able to add some tube saturation around that. And it just gave me, as I said before, a different flavor. And it's just adding a little bit of sparkle to that kick drum at that point. So I've been using Spectre a lot, and I use that on vocals, drums, as you can see, even throughout the track. If you look at throughout the stems of the track, I've got it on the strings section here, boosting some lower kind of range, again on the electric guitars around similar frequencies, acoustic guitars. I'm using it everywhere. So this is a really go-to plugin for me. And it's nice just to have some different plugins on your palette, when you're mixing, because you don't want everything to sound the same. And it's just another way of just being able to boost frequencies that are pleasant to the ear and just make it musical, because sometimes it can be a bit surgical, and this plugin really kind of does make it musical. And then my other kind of most common plugin that I've been using as well a lot is this retro color. Now, again, it's a popular plugin. I wouldn't say it's as popular as, let's say, the Pro Q3 or Pro Q4 now. It's a different style plugin, but one's an EQ, this one is more of a saturation again. But again, it's a different flavor, and I like using this kind of RC20 because it just adds this retro. So, I've got it going on the strings, I've got it on the electric guitar. If we solo the electric guitar and have a listen to what this plugin is actually doing. You can really hear what I'm doing there. When I bypassed that plugin on the electric guitars kind of went kind of in and a little bit behind. And then when I, unbypassed it and made this plugin turn on, it kind of added a lot of color to the guitars, and it just made it a bit brighter and a bit fuller. And so using, again, distortion and a little bit of reverb. This reverb on this plugin is really, really cool, and I use that a lot on electric guitars. I do have some separate reverb and delays going on as well, but just on the overall guitar bus, adding the RC20 retro color is really, really cool plugin to add for taste. As I say, a lot of these kind of plugins, they are for more additive stuff. I do a lot of subtractive, but these here, these plugins here just really just add color to the mix and, more of a creative aspect of the mix itself, when doing it. And then the last plugin that I've been using a lot, it's my top 4, maybe we'll do top 5, but let's have a look at this one, is the Widener. Again, this is a free plugin, and yeah, it's by Polyverse. I don't really know much about this plugin, but I found it was free and it sounded good to me, and it's just a Widener. So I've got it going on the strings. So if we have a listen with the strings with this on and off. Now that Widener plugin is actually doing a lot, and Again, it's a free plugin, so you could download this, you could use it. You know, not all plugins have to be expensive. I think a lot of people, you know, think, oh, I need to have an expensive plugin to make something sound good. You know, to me, plugins are tools to get the job done. And this Widener, you know, I wanted the strings to sound a bit wider in the chorus, and so I put a wider plugin on, and it does the job. But you could have used the Waves S1 imager, you could have used, you know, multiple things. I even think the retro color that I showed you earlier has a Widener, it's got width on it as well. So, you know, there are multiple plugins that do the same thing, but, you know, that wider plugin is something I've been using a lot. And lastly, another plugin that has been really, really cool to be using on vocal, Blueface 1176 by UAD. And this one has been really, really cool to use on lead vocals, and I've been using it a lot. So if I just solo, you know, the vocal and bypass this on and off, you'll hear what it's doing.
I've been waiting minutes to be able to say that I'm over you. With every single second and every heart you take, I've lost all my love to give, but I still seem to wait for you. I'll wait for you, I'll wait for you. No, I'll wait, oh, I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you, I'll wait for you. No, I'll wait for you.
Now that is doing a lot, especially to the vocal, and I love using this 1176 on male vocals. Again, you know, I've been using the Blueface 1176 quite a lot on male vocals more so than female vocals, and that's purely just because the Blue 1176 adds a lot of kind of high kind of 10 to 15k kind of frequencies to the vocal, and on male vocals that just sounds lovely to me. And as you heard there when Luch was singing, you know, it's really bringing those vocals forward. So, you know, you've got to play around, find different plugins that you like, but you know, every plugin has its own kind of style and taste, and you've just got to play around to see what plugins you like. But let's just have a listen to the overall mix on the chorus so we can see what some of these plugins were doing in context.
I've been waiting minutes to be able to say that I'm over you. With every single second and every heart you take, I've lost all my love to give, but I still seem to wait for you. I'll wait for you, I'll wait for you. No, I'll wait, oh, I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you, I'll wait for you. No, I'll wait for you. It seems like you're only putting me down there.
And that's it, that's my top 5 plugins for 2024. And as I say, there are so many plugins on the market that it can be quite overwhelming and kind of confusing what to go for. But you know, every mixer has their own kind of plugins that they like to use. At the end of the day, they are just tools to get the job done. And I always think, you know, look beyond the plugin. What are you trying to achieve with this, with what you're trying to do with the plugin? So, you know, if you're using a Pro Q4, are you trying to take low end out? Are you trying to take mid range out? Or, you know, you're using the split EQ, are you trying to add transient? So everything has a reason into why you're using something. You just got to kind of mix, find what you like and use it. Everyone will have their own opinion, but you know, these are just, you know, a few options, well, my top 5 options of what I like to use. So definitely try them out yourself. Also, let me know in the comments what you guys use as well, and you know, what you think, and if you do try these plugins, also let me know what you think of the plugins as well, because I'm interested to know that as well. And that's it from me this year, and I can't wait for 2025, and I look forward to seeing you all. And don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all again in 2025.